Hello everyone, welcome to a belated Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race C race and strategy guide. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get this out on Monday morning, but fortunately, the reason for that was I was away at Silverstone for the Formula 1. But yeah, a day late, a dollar short, but hopefully you might still be interested in what I've got to say about this race. It's Group 3 at Grand Valley Highway 1. We've got 10 laps to get round. We've got tyre wear at times 7, fuel at times 3. We've got the medium and the hard tyres available. Both of those compounds are mandatory. BOP is on, damage is light, it's a rolling start, and slipstream is real. This is our third visit to Grand Valley Highway in Daily Race C for Gran Turismo 7. We've done it once in Group 3, once in Group 4. On both of those occasions it was a no-stopper, so at least the settings are a little bit different for this one to give the race a slightly different dynamic, as a pit stop is going to be mandatory to conform to the tyre regulations. So I'm going to give you a run through both your strategy options from races that I did this morning. The first one at 6:30 on Tuesday morning, the second one at 7 o'clock on the Tuesday morning. Also, you basically have two options here. You can start in the hard tyres and finish in the mediums, or you can start in the medium tyres and finish on the hard tyres. And I'll give you my pros and cons for each one as we go along. Now, you're probably maybe aware of the strategy for this one already, but do stick around for at least the first race here, because you're about to witness one of the most bonkers opening laps I think I've ever been part of. Now, it was 6:30 in the morning. There was a big mix of driver abilities here as well, so it's to be kind of, understood that drivers are going to have different braking points and different abilities, and it can get a little bit messy when that is the situation. So we're in the Toyota Supra. This is the car that is dominating the leaderboard. We're going to do the hard and the medium strategy first. I've got your sort of tyre windows up there at the top of the screen. So you're going to do 1 to 3 laps on the hard tyres, or 7 to 9 laps on the medium. All depending on how good you are at looking after the tyres, maybe what car you're in, whether you're using the wheel or the pad, is going to sort of dictate just how many laps you do on the hard tyres. Now, I do know that most people have just been doing that singular lap. Chaos going on all around here, by the way, as I kind of talk about the strategy here. All sorts of dive bombs going on. We've been put into the bad area there by the GTR. I think he was angry at another driver for something, wasn't me. Ram the Rammers here going to thoroughly live up to his name by putting the GTR off the track, and well, it kind of didn't work out terribly for us. We're now kind of clear of most of the chaos. We're on the hard tyres here. We're going to jump forward to lap 2. Now, you can obviously pit at the end of lap 1, but when I try to put these guides together, I do kind of try to think of everybody who's going to be racing. So I think in the sort of higher splits you are going to pit at the end of lap 1. You're probably going to be on the wheel, maybe. You're maybe a little bit better at looking after those tyres so you can get the 9 laps out of the mediums without too much of an issue. We ran into a few problems with this McLaren driver in front of us over the course of lap 2, but we're pitting here. We're going to come in, change on to the mediums, we'll get a wee look at this pit loss. So, somewhat strangely, for the new tracks that have been brought into the game of Gran Turismo, they get the car into the pit box very quickly, and you lose all the time in the pits in the animation as the car actually leaves. Don't know why, it seems to be a little bit different compared to some of the original tracks in the game. But your pit loss is going to be about 19.5 seconds, between 19 and 20 seconds, so we just put it down the middle, 19.5. Fuel is going to be no issue whatsoever. Fuel is at times 3, so you do burn a good portion of it off during the course of the race. So the car is, it can kind of benefit the alternative strategy. You maybe get a little bit more life out the mediums if you just do a couple of laps on the hard tyres, as the car will be a good little bit lighter to give you some benefit from that. But we eventually got by the McLaren driver. We were still very much getting up to speed here. Our lap time's way off, 49.2, our fastest lap on about the 6th lap there on the medium tyres. And bringing the car home in P4, you could see from the telemetry down in the bottom left hand corner, there was still plenty of the medium tyres left. We could easily have done the 9 laps on the mediums had we really wanted to. So moving on to the second strategy. Now, one tip I do want to give to you is to jump into the warm-up, jump into the car. You get an indication of the tyre split from the info up in the top left hand corner. Now, we're going to start on the mediums here despite starting down in P13. Had I looked at that information you know, I would have instantly started on the hard tyres. From down in P13, I would always recommend starting on the harder compound anyway, because you're just not going to get any benefit from your medium tyres over the course of the first couple of laps. But you know, I wanted to just test the mediums here, because this strategy can work because the stint on the hard tyres is so short. So what should happen at the end of lap 1 and 2 is that a lot of people who are starting on the hard tyres should filter off into the pits and then sort of get out of your way, and hopefully, if things work out to your advantage, leave you with a little bit of clear track. But you can see just here, even though we're on the medium tyres, pretty hard to pass through the middle sector of Grand Valley unless somebody makes a mistake. We're going to get a little bit of racing here with the Austrian driver. He's going to go wide there, going to go side by side down into this next corner. Here it gets a little bit of a better run. That was a little bit annoying. We're going to make a mistake here because we're going to try and outbrake the Austrian. We're going to hit the back of the Spaniard in the Mazda, but we'll let him filter back in, keep that position. But it does then allow the Austrian to poke his nose down the inside of us here. It's not ideal for me, not at all. I was wanting to try and be ahead of this Austrian driver. Not that I've really got anywhere to go, but I'm trying to make the very most of these medium tyres on the opening lap. We're going to go round the outside of the Austrian here, just got the better grip as we come into the tricky final chicane. See if we can get a good line through here. Get a run on the Mazda driver, maybe. The Supra is very prestigious, or precocious, I don't know if any of them are actually the right word, but bloody fast down the straight, so you've always got a good chance of going for the overtake from a car in front of you. The Mazda driver goes wide through the tunnel, and there you can see we've now got a gap in front of us as drivers started to filter into the pit lane. We had a relatively clear track after about lap 4. What you tend to find is that, again, there's some lower drivers here. They're not as confident as sort of running the tyres down to be very worn, and yeah, some of them will leave it until lap 3. For example, this Porsche driver here, who was in front of us at the start of the race, he pitted at the end of lap 3, and as we came out the pits, we are very much alongside them. Now, one thing I do want to tell you is that when you come out for this last lap on your hard tyres, they are stone cold. They're down at 60 degrees. I did have the tyre temperature app going on as I was doing these races, and so there is so little grip on them. This Porsche, you know, he has pitted at, you know, the end of the lap 3, so he's got pretty good mediums at this point. You can just see he has so much more grip than us. Now, he did pick up a 2-second penalty for driving into us at the start of the lap. That one was a little bit harsh when he got the penalty, but then just pushed us out the way from the hairpin, so he did actually deserve a penalty overall. He just maybe never got it for the incident that was actually worse. Finishing time for the race is going to be about 18.5 minutes, so there was definitely scope to fire an extra lap in to this one, but we'll go through the strategy options here for a couple of minutes. Even, you know, we'll just kind of reiterate some of the stuff that we've covered already. So that first strategy option is the hard to medium strategy. 1 to 3 laps on the hard tyres, 7 to 9 laps on the mediums. Pitting at the end of lap 1 is what I would always recommend if you've got the ability to look after the tyres, but maybe if you're not quite as confident on the tyres, leave it till lap 2. You're obviously running the risk of being undercut by anybody who pits on lap 1, or if you leave it as late as lap 3, you obviously risk the undercut from anybody that's pitted on either of the 2 previous laps. But you will have slightly better mediums towards the end, and there is some drivers who are pitting in lap 1 having very dead mediums and becoming vulnerable for the last 2 laps. You've got the medium to hard strategy, so starting on the medium tyres. Now, I'd only really recommend this one if you're in the top half of the pack. If you're in the higher splits, this can work a little bit better because a lot of the drivers on the hard tyres will pit at the end of lap 1, so the track will open up to you. It can give you some clear track, and then you can kind of put in some representative laps. Maybe a little bit lower down the splits where drivers are leaving it to lap 2 or 3 before they change on to the medium tyres. This can be a little bit more of a risk because you just don't get that clear track until a little bit later into the race. But you know, that's the pros and cons of the strategies. Hopefully that's been useful in some way, shape or form. We'll finish off with a lap guide in the Toyota Supra. We come down towards lap 1, turn 1. You're looking for the 300 board. Just before that, I would say, just to make sure you get the car into the apex. If you leave it any later than that, you do run the risk of running wide. And there's a little bit of camber here, so if a car gets in the inside there, they tend to get a little bit more grip. We are looking to try and use that camber to help the car round. On the medium tyres, this is full throttle if you get the line right, and the tyres are obviously fresh enough. We had to give it a little bit of a confidence lift because we were still building up our speed. And it's the 400 board for the downhill hairpin. Very, very tricky corner. Lots of carnage goes on here. People get it wrong. There's camber on the inside of this one as well. You do want to try and get the car into there to help it around. And then we're going to come to this very tricky infield sector of, or middle sector of Grand Valley, and it's not really about braking boards, it's just all about getting the line right, getting the momentum, carrying the speed through the corners, and having the car in the right position, just so that you can get on the throttle as early as possible. Very technical part of the track. Back to the boards here though, your 100 board for the first of the 90-degree kind of hairpins. And then again, I like to keep it nice and tight into this one, and then try to find a good marker for getting on the accelerator to carry as much speed down this short straight. 100 board for the the start of the tunnel. Just before that, I would say, again, you might keep the car nice and tight in there. If you let it drift wide, people will poke their nose in, and then sacrifice a little bit of speed through the first part of the chicane so you can carry more speed through the second part, because all the speed you carry through the second part, you carry down this meandering straight before you get onto the actual pit straight. And yeah, any speed you carry through that last part of the chicane, you carry all the way down here as well. But that's a lap of Grand Valley Highway 1. Hopefully 2's coming soon, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, who knows, you never know. Stranger things have happened, but that's a lap guide in the Toyota Supra of Grand Valley Highway 1. Hopefully the video has been useful in some way, shape or form, even though it is a little bit late. I do apologise for that. The reason being, you may already be aware, I was at Silverstone, and I only got home at kind of Monday tea time, and I was shattered. I didn't have any time to do this last night, so I got up nice and early on Tuesday to get this out, hopefully for around about 9:30 on Tuesday morning. But thank you very much for watching. If you've liked it, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit that thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments though. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye now.